You're listening to CX Passport, the show about creating great customer experiences with a dash of travel talk. Each episode, we'll talk with our guests about great CX, travel, and just like the best journeys, explore new directions we never anticipated. I'm your host, Rick Denton. I believe the best meals are served outside and require a passport. Let's get going. My intent for CX Passport is to learn from customer experience voices around the world. As I've gotten the podcast going, I've been a little too Europe and US heavy. That's why I am so excited to talk with Laise Pôrto joining us today from Brazil. Laise and I originally met each other on Jonathan Daniels' brilliant webinar series, CX Centric Conversation. Hit pause, have a look at the link in the show notes, and go register for his next session. His purposely designed global approach to the discussion is like none other. Then come on back to the CX Passport episode. I really appreciated the perspective Laise provided to customer experience. There's much that's the same across the globe, but so often we fail to really appreciate the geographic and cultural differences that can exist in customer experience. Laise does a great job of bringing that region's perspective to life. Let's also realize that Brazil is an amazing country with wonderful people, wonderful food, and wonderful destinations. It shouldn't be a surprise to you that I'll want to talk to Laise about all of that as well. Laise, welcome to CX Passport.
Hello, folks. It's such an honor and a privilege to be invited to participate in this podcast. I'm very happy to be here today. I wish to thank you, Rick, for this very kind invitation.
I'm just excited that you're willing to accept that invitation. So it looks like we've got a nice, good mutual, hey, let's get started kind of vibe here. I love it. And let's just start right at the beginning. How did you, Laise, get started in a customer experience career in Brazil?
So to understand how I started my career as a customer experience professional, I need to tell you everything. So starting from the beginning. I'm a marketing communications professional with over 15 years of experience in different industries like technology, entertainment, logistics, mining, chemical, and etc.
Goodness.
I have spent these last few years developing my skills in which I have figured out my love for managing teams and solving customers' problems, focusing on their experiences. Nowadays, I work as a customer experience coordinator at Hidrovias do Brasil, an integrated logistics solutions company, where I lead the CX team. So 5 years ago, I started my career as a customer experience professional with the challenge of overseeing the organization restructuring into our customer-focused company. In addition, I started investing deeply in courses, studying hard, and most importantly, putting everything into practice. Guiding the entire company toward a new mindset and deploying a customer-centric culture were some attitudes to the positive results achieved. In 2019, I was recognized as the best customer experience professional in Brazil at the CX Summit Award.
Wow.
One of the largest customer experience events in Latin America. I have to say that I'm very proud of being awarded. So since then, I love doing what I'm doing now as a customer experience professional. And that's pretty much who I am in a nutshell.
My goodness, what a depth. Even though you and I have talked before, I didn't know all of that. And certainly congratulations on the win in 2019. That is an impressive win to think to the top of an entire country. And this is, I hope that people know Brazil. Brazil's not this little tiny country. Brazil's a really big, significant, important country. And I'm thinking about that with that depth of experience that you have in customer experience. And given the amount of time that you're describing there, you've got to have seen changes. So how have you seen CX change in Latin America and Brazil in particular over that time?
Yeah, if you've heard that Brazilians are one of the most engaged people in the world, it's because we value good experience above many other factors. Mm-hmm. And this is directly reflecting this way we consume. The fact is that most Brazilians, and I'm talking about more than 70%, changed their brand after only one bad experience.
Wow.
That means that in order to retain the Brazilians' consume, companies had to develop a great maturity with regards to the relationship and conversations they maintain with customers. Consider this, Brazil follows a trend that has been growing throughout Latin America. With the digitalization process, with accelerated strongly during the pandemic, the region stand out globally in development of new products, channels, internal process aimed at good digital experience. For example, we can see a lot of research, and the last one that I've seen was from Zendesk, highlighting the customer experience best practices such as availability of multiple service channels that work in an integrated way for the customers, use of real-time data and qualification of support teams. These set of factors showed Latin America companies that lead in CX are 4.4 times more likely to delight their customers. And the impact of this on the business was evident, as these companies are 2.3 times more likely to gain market share. Hands down, Latin America can become a global benchmark in customer experience. Of course, there is still a long way to go to delight all types and generations of consumers. But the good news is that this is an issue that is increasingly present in companies right now.
This is your captain speaking. I want to thank you for listening to CX Passport today. We've now reached our cruising altitude, so I'll turn that seatbelt sign off. While you're getting comfortable, hit that follow or subscribe button on your favorite podcast app so you'll never miss an episode. Love it if you'd tell a friend about CX Passport, leave a review so others can discover the show as well. Now, sit back and enjoy the rest of the episode.
That is something that, so I've had the opportunity to work, and I say work, I was only in Brazil for 6 weeks, and it's a sad statement that it was only 6 weeks, but what a delightful 6 weeks. It was in 1998? Yeah, 1998. So it's been a long time. But I was in Sao Paulo, and what you described is something that I noticed even back then, before I even really, I was a junior in my career, didn't even really think about customer experience. But as a customer, I saw that value for experience, whether it was on a beach, whether it was at an upscale restaurant, or even when you talked about the people, it brought to mind there was a neighborhood sushi restaurant that I would go to probably, I'm not kidding, maybe 3 or 4 times a week. And listeners, the sushi culture is strong in Brazil. If you want great sushi, trust me, Brazil's a great place for it. But it was exactly that. Within a few visits, they knew who I was. They knew that I was clearly not from Brazil. They were tolerant of my incredibly bad Portuguese. They were willing to greet me at the door, and it made it where, yeah, I went back 3 or 4 times a week just because they made me feel so special on that human level. And that was something that I really noticed in the Brazilian culture.
That's totally true.
Let's talk about that a little bit, though, because you've said a phrase, and I think you've kind of mentioned it already, but I'd like you to expand on this. You have said that CX marketing works in Brazil. Tell me what you mean by that.
First of all, that's totally true. We love sushi here in Brazil, but something that anyone in the world can notice about the Brazilian people is that even if with our challenges here, we like living deeply. So no doubt in each experience, we become more demanding in our decision making. And I can say that is in our essence to explore more and more the way we live. Our perceptions allow us to go beyond the basics and leave experience to memories. And The reality is that the way customers discover and interact with brands has evolved, and the marketing strategy must reflect these changes. For example, Brazilians today are represented by increasingly connected consumers who are looking for more options, greater convenience, better interactions, and etc. More than ever, customers today use online reviews as a form of social proof to validate their purchase decisions. I mean, they trust a brand because of its good ratings and reviews. I think this shows us that it's not enough for your product to be good or for your prices to be fairer than the competitions. As a result, marketers are rethinking the traditional approaches to products, places, pricing, and promotions, and focused on keeping customer needs at the forefront to build a community of loyal fans. That's why it's crucial to cultivate a specific plan for managing customer feedback. I would like to pinpoint that what stands out a lot when we talk about CX marketing is the use of CX cases in companies' marketing campaigns. In other words, we see many companies using their successful CX cases that go viral on social media in incredible marketing campaigns. We have a recent case here in Brazil, super famous here in Brazil, of an airline that went viral. A video that circulated on the internet shows the scene of a flight attendant picking up a baby who was crying nonstop. She calmed him until he fell asleep. Aww. And here it brings a lot of CX because the attitudes and empathy of the attendant with that adult became a memorable moment for the family and the others who are in the flight. So definitely this kind of strategy here, we can see many things here in Brazil about CX marketing by the examples, by the cases. So it's very hard to see here in Brazil.
What I like about the story that you shared there is we hear stories of a company going exceptionally beyond. And those are great stories, these surprise and delight moments, a real shocking moment. There are some really heartfelt, make me cry type stories that are out there. But what I like about this story that you shared is the flight attendant didn't do anything amazing. The flight attendant didn't go shockingly above or anything along those lines. The flight attendant saw a customer in pain, a customer with a need, had empathy for that customer, and had a heart to just find a way to take care of that customer. And I love that special, simple story is what has become the viral story for that airline. I can tell you this, I would like to see more airlines do that. But what it tells me is that somehow in their hiring, in their training, in their focus on the customer, their flight attendants have this inherent heart for the customer that came out when they took care of that child and comforted that child. And certainly that parent is feeling love for that airline now. My goodness. Laise, let me switch on you a little bit here because I can't go any longer without just talking to you about Brazil. My memory, as I mentioned, 98. It's been too long. I have to get back down there. But I know that when I worked there, my experience was in Sao Paulo, which is a great city, but it's just one part of Brazil. You're up in the Bahia region. I would love to know more about that region and what a traveler up there should look to experience?
Yeah, I'm too suspicious to say it, but Brazil is a huge country and full of amazing places to
Hmm.
explore. But speaking of Bahia, located in the northeast of Brazil, a traveler has the opportunity to have an unforgettable experience here. We have a little bit of everything here: uh, beaches, mountains, waterfalls, river,
Oh man.
wonderful foods, and above all, we the people of Bahia who are simply charming. So, if you are a traveler looking for heavenly, happy people, wonderful food, a lot of heat, and definitely you need to know Bahia. For me, of course, is the best place in Brazil.
Oh, Laise, that makes me so want to go to Bahia. And one of the things that I actually kind of appreciate and want to go there is, for me, a flight from Dallas to Sao Paulo or to Rio is almost as long as a flight from Dallas to London, which is kind of surprising. You don't realize it, but it really is almost that far. But if I were to fly to Bahia, I would actually cut a couple hours out of that flight, a few, maybe even more than a couple. And so there's a closer opportunity to go there. So now I really want to go. But I know this: when I have traveled, it is nice to take a little break. It's nice to head to the lounge. That airport can be a little chaotic. So I would love for you to join me here in the first class lounge. Let's move quickly and we'll have a little bit of fun here. What is a dream travel location from your past?
One of my dream travel location from my past was San Andres in Colombia.
Ooh.
I have been to there 3 years ago, and I just felt in love with it. You guys have to go to San Andres in Colombia because it's amazing.
This is one of the reasons. Remember how I started in the intro saying I talked to a lot of folks from the US and Europe and I wanted to get more voices from around the world. I haven't had Colombia come up as an answer to this question, and I've wanted to go to Colombia, but I haven't heard about San Andreas. There's other places, maybe Cartagena. Yeah, no.
Cartagena, yes.
Yeah. And then there's another kind of beach area that is highly recommended that I'd want to go to, but I've not heard San Andreas. So that's a new one for the list, and I'm excited about. What is, now thinking forward, what is a dream travel location you've not been to yet?
It's very difficult to choose just one destination
Right.
because I have a huge list of place to go that I want to explore. But dream travel, without a doubt, is to Bali, Indonesia.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because for me, it's because it mixes everything I love in a place: connection with nature, cuisine, culture. So definitely a special place that tops the list of the upcoming destinations.
I like that one. Now, Bali has come up before. That's a very popular one. It's certainly on my list as well. Long flight for both you and me, but it's worth it to get out there, I've got to imagine. Now, we talked about Brazilian food. We talked about Brazilian culture. This question's going to be tricky, I'm sure, but what is a favorite thing for you to eat?
As I told you, I love everything new. When I
Yeah.
travel to a place, one of the things I like to explore is the food.
Mm.
Definitely is the food. But I have to give a super tip here for those who will visit Brazil. You need to know Bahia and its cuisine. My favorite food that is definitely Bahian food. I cannot explain it, but you guys need to try it, and I'm sure you will remember my suggestion. Basically, we have seafood dishes with a striking and different seasoning, in
Mm.
addition to many delicacies. So, hashtag come to Bahia and explore.
I feel like, Laise, I know you're not on the tourism board, but I'm starting to feel like you might be on the Bahian tourism board with some of the ways you're telling me about this. This is nice. So, favorite thing to eat, just Bahian food. Love it. Now, let's go the other way. What is something your parents forced you to eat, but you hated as a kid?
Um, I grew up in a mixed family with members from all over Bahia. This contributes to a lot to my growth, especially with my taste buddies. I don't remember my parents forcing me to eat something,
All right.
anything. We didn't have many choices, by the way, but we grew up learning to value our daily food and eating everything. My brothers and I have no restrictions, and we love to eat everything. So
Wow. All right. I like that spirit. I like that indeed. So nothing forced. It was all just a food to enjoy and certainly appreciate the food that you had. That's awesome. You mentioned that you like to travel a lot. So you must have something. What is that one travel item, not including your phone, of course, but what is that one travel item that you will not leave home without?
wow, good question. I would say my credit card, after all. With it, I can buy anything that is missing. But if I have to choose any another thing, one item that I can ever forget is my toothbrush. Definitely.
I like the idea of the toothbrush. Yes, a fresh start to the day and a cleaning at night certainly is good. I know. So let's go back to kind of customer experience. And I saw a picture of you on LinkedIn wearing a hard hat and on the deck of what I think was a cargo ship near a Brazilian port. And that's not what many people think of when they think about customer experience. Now, I think that you and I share a similar philosophy around CX, that it has to be woven through the entire company. So tell me about that visit to the port, and why is it important to bring that customer experience thinking across the whole company, even in areas where you wouldn't expect it to be needed?
In the last 5 years of my career, I worked in ports, a logistics company with the challenge of starting CX from scratch. Among the many challenges, I had the opportunity to guide the entire company to a new mindset and deploy a customer-centric culture. This means that as a CX leader, I need to lead in initiatives from the board to the end of the operation,
Yeah.
where the employees are who, in fact, are in the day-to-day work to deliver positive experience to customers. And this moment that you have seen was one of the workshops I held on site with employees in the operational area, bringing the voice of customers so that they understood the importance of their role in improving our customers' experience. One thing that I always highlight in this process of business transformation is what I call the 3P perspective. The letter P is because the words in Portuguese begin with
Okay.
letter P.
Yeah.
But in English would be sponsor, partners, and spokers persons.
Mm-hmm.
They are the main things in the process, and that's how I've been working. In the other words, in the customer-centric culture process, we work hard with the sponsors, represented here by the top leaderships, who buy the idea and will play a key role in the company's transformation. Partnership with the different areas so that the strategy is applied by everyone, and spokespersons who working here with a multidisciplinary team with representatives from different areas of the company, a kind of customer experience ambassadors whose role is to disseminate the culture and to develop value-added solutions for the customer through the improvements deployed. We CX leads have this super important role in transforming the customer and the culture of the organization in partnership with top leadership. So these moments, especially in these moments, I was training the entire company to a new mindset, CX mindset.
I think that's so great to get all the way down. I've spent time on cargo ships, now in port, not out actually at sea. And you wouldn't have that automatic reaction that that's where customer experience needs to be taught. But I love your say of going from boardroom to where the operations are happening. Absolutely. Got to do that front line. I talk about that a lot. I'm curious. Can you say the 3 Ps in Portuguese? I would like to hear them.
Parceria, porta-vozes e patrocinadores.
Oh, that just makes me happy to hear it. It does sound better in Portuguese, so we may need to find a way to brand that and get that. Let's just start using the 3 Ps in the Portuguese language here in the U.S. and across our English-speaking worlds as well. That just sounded better. Laise, I'm taking a look at the clock and we're out of time. So as much as I've got several other questions that I want to ask you, I think we're out of time here, but I do want to ask you this. As a voice of customer experience there in Brazil and Latin America, I imagine that people may want to get in touch with you, learn more, maybe even understand how they can bring customer experience to their way of doing things. How can people get in touch with you to learn more?
So you can looking for my profile on LinkedIn. Is Laise Pôrto, LAISE Pôrto. So you can looking for me on LinkedIn, and we can talk more about CX and career and leadership and what else.
Awesome. I'll get all that into the show notes so that as you're listening to this, scroll down, click the link, and you'll be taken right to Laise's LinkedIn profile. Laise, thanks so much for talking with me today. I love being able to get additional perspective on a region that isn't my region, from a voice that isn't my experience. And I just love being able to learn from what you're experiencing there in Brazil and Latin America in general. Thank you for sharing certainly reminding us that, hey, you got to go boardroom to operations. That was so important. It was interesting to hear how CX marketing is so important in the Brazilian culture and how experience, the digital and the human intensity of experience, really matters in Brazil. And those who are looking to grow business in Brazil need to make sure that experience is top of mind. And then let's be honest, I really enjoyed hearing about Bahia, and I can't wait to find a way to book a flight, get there, have those beach experiences, enjoy that great food, and enjoy that great culture. So, Laise, thank you so much for being able to share that story with me today and all the great information you shared with me today. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I really appreciate that. And everyone, you all are invited to explore Bahia. Come to Bahia.
Thanks for joining us this week on CX Passport. Make sure to visit our website, cxpassport.com, where you can hit subscribe so you'll never miss a show. While you're at it, you can check out the rest of the EX for CX website. If you're looking to get real about customer experience, EX for CX is available to help you increase revenue by starting to listen to your customers and create great experiences for every customer, every time. Thanks for listening to CX Passport, and be sure to tune in for our next episode. Until next time, I'm Rick Denton, and I believe the best meals are served outside and require a passport.